He's got one of the best forehands in the game. It doesn't matter where he hits it in the court. He's dangerous off of that side. On the tennis court, on the pickleball court, look for him to move around the backhand and dominate with the forehand.
New broken ball. Game 1, time in, 0-0.
Heavy serve to start and heavy drive. QD, what is it going to take for him to defeat the forehand of Jack Sock?
I think he's got a good game to do it because he's relatively balanced with his return ground strokes. So when he's returning Jack serve specifically, he doesn't really need to run around and hit a forehand or a backhand. I would say his forehand return can be a bit weaker if you get the ball deep because he's got that extreme grip. That being said, he does have good footwork, so he's getting under that pretty consistently versus somebody who's looking to run around and hit one specific stroke a bit more. It can be harder to find Jack's backhand when you do that. So you see looking for the backhand early, but Jack's fast enough to go around and get it, but still able to cover on the volley.
One zero. Point.
I think he missed it a little long. Something to be aware of is when you play somebody like Jack that has a really big forehand, he actually hits it better from his backhand side of the court when he gets it. So it can be dangerous to go into the backhand side of the court if he does get a forehand from there.
Yeah, Sam Query talked about that exact point a couple of weeks ago in Mesa quite a bit.
Yes, and there are other players that do that very well also. So Tyson's another great example where Tyson actually hits his forehand better from his backhand side of the court. So if you know that, it can almost be better to go to the forehand first to his forehand side of the court to open up the backhand, and then you don't have that forehand coming at you from where he likes to hit it. So, I mean, that's where Jack made a tennis career right there.
Yeah.
From the middle of the court, his forehand is lethal.
Did you guys run into each other on the pro tennis scene as well?
No, he got a little bit higher level than I did. He was playing in the Olympics and the Grand Slams, and I didn't get quite that high.
Set up. Two one.
You can just see he drives through that forehand so well, even on the return. Stays low with it, he trusts it, and that's another big thing. Like, you have to trust the stroke that you're hitting, and ultimately he trusts his forehand as much as anybody trusts any shot. So that goes a long way, whether it's a return, a drive, or anything else. And Jack paying the price for a cross-court return there. Or cross-court approach, that is, opening up the court, and Quang seeing the opening.
Point.
Can't hit a much better return than what Jack hit. I think he hit the baseline, and Quang does such a good job of fighting that ball off, keeping it low. So he does it with his brand, where it's more of like a spinny, controlled drive off his back foot, and then he looks for something better on the next one.
Set up. One three.
Wow.
Point.
Just the torque that Jack Sock gets in depth.
And if you saw on that serve, he's actually serving to the body, which I think can be smart. And you also get a pretty good idea of what Quang likes to hit from that side of the court. And you make him clear his body out of the way, and he actually got him to stay back on that one. Boy, that's lethal. And getting a little lucky there, but that's just such a heavy drive on the first one. All you can really do is knock that ball back to the center of the court, and he has opportunities on the next shot. We'll see if he goes to the body serve again.
3-3. Point.
Somewhat of body. It's hard to know in the wind, but I think that is a tactic that he's using,
4-3.
especially on this left side of the court.
Set out.
And occasionally you do pay the price for running around and hitting a forehand, even though you move as well as Jack does. It does occasionally come back to bite you.
In most cases, it seems like he uses it as a funnel because he knows where it's getting channeled back to.
Set out.
Another heavy ball deep. Quang couldn't get a hold of it. Wind definitely a factor in that as well.
Yeah, pretty close early here, kind of feeling each other out. I think you mentioned that Jack's beaten them the last 2 times they played, so that's an interesting fact.
4-3.
I know you'll be shocked to know, but Emily Waters already concluded her match over on Grandstand. 11-2, 11-0.
She's never one to show mercy.
No.
That's for sure.
Three, 4. Point.
And Jack having a lot of success driving that forehand return deep. That one got away from him just a little bit.
4-4. Point.
That's a smart shot from Q there, where he takes a little bit off the backhand, and that's not just because he's going cross court and trying to hit a sharper angle. He sees that Jack is a little late coming in, so when you do hit hard returns like what Jack has been doing, it does come at a cost. You're not going to be as close to the kitchen line to cover, so if you're smart about using the angles like on that one, it's not that you're going to hit a winner, but you can get the ball low and really cause problems on that first volley.
Six, 4. Point.
And you can see as an effect that he had on that last one where he was able to dip the passing shot low, Jack was
7-4.
a little bit more hesitant to come forward. Ends up making the mistake on the next one.
Set out.
Couple let chords in favor of Jack Sock. We know you love those, Colin.
I'm always overjoyed, Michelle. Overjoyed.
Love a good Colin Johns let court moment. I know you don't.
Jack giving him a taste of his own medicine there, threatening to hit the forehand big and then taking a little bit off. Even more successful when you're close to the kitchen line, you can close afterwards.
5-7. Set out. Seven, 5. Set out.
You can really hear the wind picking up on the microphones there, just as he was about to serve.
Five, 7. Point.
It is just a battle out there, this wind. It is not to be understated. We are right on the cusp.
Yeah, on the cusp of suspending play, and yeah,
6, 7.
it's no joke out there. You're playing with a weightless plastic ball, so wind affects it a lot. Jack a little fortunate there with another roll off the tape, but I like that play where he went hard right at Q as he was trying to cover both sides, and if he catches that a little bit late, Jack's all over that next one. Well, I know you and I are pretty cold here in the booth right now, Michelle, but Jack apparently is sweating, grabbing a towel over there. Might be a little nicer out in the sun.
It's supposed to warm up a little bit tomorrow.
7-7. Set out.
And Jack a little unhappy with himself there. He saw the opening, and he probably hit it on the dot in normal conditions, but the wind takes that wide. And gesturing to make an adjustment on the next
7-7.
one.
Point. Eight, 7.
And a great sequence from Quang Duong.
Yeah, he stays down so well on that two-hander, whether he's going down the line or cross court. It's very hard to read where he's going. Turns his shoulders well, and he doesn't pull up. A lot of people will hit that two-hander and they'll pull up on it, and that's what really causes the trajectory to change. But he definitely does not do that, and as a result, is one of the most accurate two-handers on tour.
And as a result, also has game point.
Timeout receiver, 10-7.
Just a little bit different, and to make it more versatile, so you can
New ball
be
in
successful
ball,
against
game 2,
not
time
just
in,
certain players,
0-0.
but against a broader demographic on the tour. As we talked about, he seems to do better against certain particular players
1-0.
than against some other ones.
Point.
We'll scuff off the tape. Jack Sock will accept the break. And if you had a chance to coach Jack Sock, what kind of tips would you focus in on with him at this point?
So I would really lean into his strength, which is the forehand, and try to make it even more versatile. Obviously, he strikes it so cleanly.
Point.
It's really tempting to go for passing shot winners all the time. And if he added some roll drops, I think that that would complement his drives even more. So if you look at somebody like Ben, he hits a lot of roll drops on the forehand and the backhand, and it makes his drives that much better. So I think that in Jack's case, it would be a little bit more like Tyson's game style, where Tyson dominates with the forehand, but he does a great job of dropping when he's a little bit off balance. And he definitely cranks the forehand when he's in position for it. But I think that you really want to lean into what makes Jack special, which is his forehand. And then with that, kind of get into some patterns where you can get more forehands, whether it's improving the backhand to some extent or maybe just hitting the backhand to a different spot. That's a nice passing shot, very heavy. But a lot of times you can end up getting the ball to your forehand more often if you play different shots. So if somebody returns to his backhand, instead of going for a winner, maybe you learn how to hit a roll drop cross court and bait them to try to go down the line to your forehand. I think there are certain things he can do to make opponents play more into his hands and be a little bit more measured. I think that would really make his singles game interesting.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Hopefully he has the Pickleball TV app to watch back to that.
I think he'll be too busy playing Fortnite with Ben.
Maybe Ben could drop him a few hints. Next video game session. Hey man, work on your backhand roll. Your backhand drop, cross court. You got it.
Well, that was definitely a tennis volley if I've ever seen one right there. So on a tennis court, I would imagine that would be a winner from Jack, a Wimbledon champion in doubles. So not quite the same technique on a pickleball court and not having quite the same result.
2-4. Point. Three, 4.
So that pattern has worked quite well for Jack, returning hard forehands either down the middle but favoring the forehand side or all the way to the forehand. Where he's gotten in trouble is going to the backhand, and it looks like
4-3.
Quang's made a concerted effort to try to dip his backhand pass with spin cross-court to Jack's backhand volley.
Point.
So I think that they've kind of identified that that's a winning formula for them. And I did not see the previous matches where Jack won, but my suspicion would probably be not a lot of backhands coming off of Quang's paddle and probably more forehand. So I think the more that Jack plays to Quang's forehand, especially on the return, the more success he's going to have.
3-5.
Just
Point.
deep for Sock. Back on the board for Duong.
Four, 5. Point.
And a few forehand returns getting away from Jack here. Not easy to return Quang's serve, especially in windy conditions.
5-5. Point.
And that's another example of Quang preferring to hit his forehand from his backhand side of the court. And as good as his backhand is on that particular ball where it's a little bit more elevated, he knows he can generate the spin. He moves around and hits the
6-5.
forehand.
Set up.
Winner of this one will take on the winner of Max Freeman or George Rangelov. Rangelov, who took out Tario. Freeman, who took out the 2 seed,
5-6.
Connor Garnett. There's a lot of upsets so far in the men's singles draw. Wild return and wild gust of wind coming through center court in the middle of that sequence too.
6-6.
Drop volley and using the wind with it too. Jack Sock drops in one with a smirk.
Yeah, a little smile from Jack there. He's like, you'd have to run a lot further on a tennis court, but I have touch on any court, so very handy with the drop volley there.
7-6.
That's a great get by Quang, but an even better volley. Even Jack was impressed with himself on that. I thought Quang hit an incredible passing shot on the run, sliding into that forehand, and Jack coming up with the goods on the backhand.
That was unbelievable.
So that ball was below the level of the net by the time he struck the volley,
Yeah.
and not only did he get it to the open court, but he hit a winner. And,
Right.
And Quang is definitely fast, so it's not like he didn't know where that ball was going, and he's still not able to get there.
8-6.
See, that's a good example. I know it's windy and he probably wants to drive it for that reason, but in normal conditions, I'd love to see Jack
Timeout
develop a
receiver,
backhand
6-8.
drop on that. The participants in the
7-8.
academy start to gain access to the book.
Perfect. Nice, wicked shot down the line for QD to tie it up.
And that's where the backhand again does the damage. He's hit a couple forehands very, very well, but that's mostly come from his backhand side of the court. So again, Jack is getting burned from Quang's backhand half of the court, whether it be forehands or backhands.
Point.
If he returns to the forehand, he has had a lot more success.
Another one dished up to the backhand, crushed by QD. Match point for Q.
Yeah, especially on that left side of the court. Jack's favoring the forehand, returning inside out, and he just can't get to the other side of the court in time. And even if he does, Quang has opportunities to hit behind him. And he returns to the forehand that time and comes out on top. If there's one adjustment he should make right now, it should be all of his returns that he hits, whether it's a forehand or a backhand, should be to Quang's forehand side of the court.
8-10.
but it's a little bit counterintuitive because Quang's forehand is very good and it's very heavy, but he actually hits and sets up the point better from the other side of the court, and that goes for the forehand as well as the backhand. Jack unhappy with himself on that.
Match point number 2 for Q.
Let's see where this return goes. Let's see if it goes to the Quang forehand.
10-9.
Did not, and he got away with it. And a big come on from Jack. I think he feels the moment here. If he can put at least 1 on the scoreboard, or if not more, I think he has a real opportunity to win this game. Ooh, he overhit it. He had him, but I like that play from Jack where he didn't try to do too much with the forehand. He actually put some air underneath it, and like we talked about, Quang actually executes better when you hit him a higher quality ball versus that would be considered somewhat of a junk ball. It's off pace, act a little bit of underspin on that, and every once in a while you can throw off his rhythm by giving him something like that.
It's a really interesting point that you mentioned.
And that is not where you want to leave the ball if you're Quang. That's where Jack made a tennis career. He will find a way to beat you with that forehand from the middle of the court.
Now game points after saving 2 match points against. Jack Sock takes it back. A miss. Reset from Quang Duong, and Jack Sock extends this to 3. What a performance, what a rally. You could tell he was fighting at the end, and he will continue.
New Vulcan ball, game 3, time in, 0-0.
It's a crazy gust of wind there, leaving the ball closer to the kitchen than the baseline. And with Quang's extreme grip, that can actually work in your favor if you're the returner, because it can be hard to get underneath the ball.
Wow, what an angle from QD out of the air.
Yeah, definitely one of his best shots. He uses that a lot in doubles, to where he plays the left side of the court and he needs to cover the line in certain situations and pulls that ball cross court very well.
0-0. Point. 1-0. Set out.
Who would a third game favor in this scenario, mentally speaking, if any?
I feel like I'd give the slight edge to Jack here, especially because Quang had match points in that second game. So if you're Jack, you feel like you have a second life here, and Quang may or may not be thinking about those opportunities he had in the second game. So I would tend to favor Jack from a mental perspective in this third game, but we'll see.
Point.
Some more emotion from Jack. A little come on.
2-1.
Wow, 3 in a row.
And I actually love the serve there even more than the forehand. We know Jack's got the forehand and it's a frozen rope winner, but what really set that up was the nice deep serve to Quang's forehand, left the return a little short, and he darts over and gets the forehand. Oh, that's a tough break.
Point.
And a great start here for Jack. One more and he's got the side switch.
Yeah, tough start for QD on the other side. He was inches away from taking the match in 2. Another one deep. Jack Sock storming out to a 6-1 lead at the end change. Looking vulnerable, but we'll see how the end change could affect things.
6-1.
Another ball to the corner for Jack Sock.
And Jack a little frustrated with himself there. He knows if he makes that ball, he's very likely to be able to cover the net on the next one, and the wind pushes it just deep.
Point.
A couple of misses to give Duong a little bit of hope. Duong recently relocated to Las Vegas, Nevada, we're told, so nice move for the Duong family.
Wow.
Wow, that is so good from Jack Sock. Threw some salt on it on his way out.
Yeah, that's a classy volley right there. Classic tennis, and Jack's got the touch to pull it off.
6-2.
Wow, it's a big serve right in the corner.
Seven, 2.
Heavy drives from QD down the line on that backhand side.
I'd be curious to get the stats on this match to see how often Jack has lost the point at the net when the ball has been received, or Quang has been hitting from the left side of the court versus the right. Because it feels like it's almost exclusively that Jack is losing the exchanges when Quang is hitting the ball from left of the center line.
3-7.
And a beautiful sequence, QD takes back another.
Because it can be easy to say here from the booth to recognize that pattern, but it can be a lot tougher on the court to realize exactly what is taking place. And of course, easier said than done. You still have to execute.
4-7.
But I'm just curious if Jack actually realizes how much that pattern is taking place.
Guessing not, and
it's 3 missed returns on that side of the quarter. 2, and then the 1 missed approach a little bit long. And another great return to the forehand, and gets the reward.
It's like you know a thing or two about this sport, Colin.
Just telling you what I see out there. It's, again, it's much easier from up here when we can just analyze and we don't have to run and play and compete.
7-5.
But to me, it's definitely what's the glaring thing about this matchup, at least what I've seen thus far. That one getting enough penetration to the backhand corner to where Quang couldn't do much with it.
Here we go. 8-5.
Slapper out of the air. Jack Sock gobbles it up.
Timeout receiver, 9-5.
I've seen the timeout on the other side. Cute.
I mean, a few passing shots like he's been known to streak together, and he's right back in this.
Time in. 9-5.
Well, there's an accidental angle from the wind.
Wow. And Jack Sock wields another down the line, inside in.
Match point.
Unfortunately for Quang, the second shot ended up right in the jaws of the jackhammer forehand.
10-5.
Perfect way to put that.
And that's a great choice, and that'll do it.
Another winner to the same corner. Jack Sock survives it in 3 and advances. Takes his 3rd win off of the young QD, who will go back to work.